Also with me, Dr. Judy Ho, a clinical and forensic psychologist. Welcome. What advice would you give to the Anderson family for trying to move on?
I think there's a big part of families who have been traumatized to try to normalize everything and try to bring everything back to a stable point. But there needs to be some type of processing. I think the online venue may not have been the best way because that could open her up to further criticism. We do find that with a lot of mental disorders that the trigger period is sometime between late teens to early adulthood. And with Amanda Bynes, that is the perfect timeline for when she started to experience problems. We don't want to believe that our loved ones might actually intentionally want us to die. And so sometimes it takes a little while for this to come to light.
Dr. Judy Ho is professor of forensic psychology at Pepperdine University.
Most of the times we see that they tend to have what we call narcissistic personality disorder, where they see people as objects, everything is about them, and they really believe in their power to get away with this stuff. And you deserve a great relationship, Rashida, but you have to be honest about the fact that he isn't meeting your needs. And if you can say that to yourself, then you can start to problem solve and what exactly needs to be met and how. This is not something that is a matter of willpower. That somebody, when they're depressed, can just get themselves out of it and will themselves to get up in the morning and get on with their lives. People do need treatment. Unfortunately, 80% of people who suffer from depression don't get treatment. And I think it was different for our parents, our grandparents. You know, they just did what they had to do to make sure they had food on the table and to take care of their family. And now in this generation, what we have are people thinking about this idea of happiness and, well, how can I get it? How can I feel, gratified or something? And the problem with that is happiness is just an emotion. It's fleeting, like anger, like frustration. If you keep chasing it, you're never going to hold on to it.
I'm taking Trina to see a relationship counselor because Gabe ass is back to his old mind-controlling tricks again.
Tell me a little bit about why you guys are here today.
Dr. Ho, her husband is a hoe.
Tell me a little bit about the history of that. What do you mean? What happened?
The Tomich family is a pretty humble family. They lived in a very small town, and they come home and they see Ron dead on the floor. I think when people live and grow up in small towns, they have this idea that their community is safe. They know everybody, things are going to be okay. When something like a murder happens, everybody's in a state of panic. And oftentimes what we notice in the brains of these individuals is that they have very low reactivity compared to a normal person. So what that means is they need to do something so incredibly exciting to be able to get the kind of spike in their brain that normal people would get just from eating a good meal or a nice piece of chocolate. This teacher has just learned some really bad problem-solving skills from his elementary students. I mean, this is regression at its worst. Yeah. When I want to regress to childhood, I play video games. When this guy wants to regress to childhood, he's throwing skateboards and threatening people with an object.
I just had a weird image of Judy playing World of Warcraft or Dungeons and Dragons.
It's hot. I like it.
It's very weird. But Judy, I'd like you to put on your professional hat for a second.
Parents just have to not be afraid of the difficult questions, and if they see something alarming, ask that teen directly, what did you mean by this? I saw this on your social media. Tell me why you put this comment down. And if they still feel like they couldn't engage the teen, that's when the parents have to make the really hard decision of telling an authority. What do you think you want for your life? I know that you've been talking about the ways in which certain pieces are missing and you're not really living your life and you're so afraid and you're being held back. I like to ask the miracle question, which is if you woke up tomorrow and everything changed and it was exactly what you wanted it to be, what would your life look like then?